Hey, so as I have talked about a lot already, attention is energy. What your attention goes on becomes more energized. If your attention is on, let's say, thoughts of your ex, you're going to energize those thoughts. Those thoughts will become stronger and more prominent in your life. If your attention from when you wake up is on your work is going to become more prominent and more stronger elements in your life. If your attention is on your children, on whatever whatever your attention on is on will get stronger. And here's the thing: is that mastering our attention is basically something that we need to be taught from an early age, but we are not. It's one of the most important things in order to live, but we're just not taught. It's why so many people have conspiracy theories and are suspicious, because why would something so important not be taught from an early age? Can it be that we're really that ignorant to how important it is to use your mind? How important it is to learn how to master what your attention is on? Or are we all just being conditioned and brainwashed from birth, through the education, religious, social systems? I'm not going to get into all of that. What I do want to talk about is how important it is now that we all realize how important it is to be able to master our attention. Basically, the kryptonite to our attention, the thing that messes up our attention, is addiction. How it works, the way that I have seen, it seems really clear to me, no brainer, is that your attention basically is like a muscle. And when you train it through whatever ways, whether it's meditating is one way, journaling is another way, whatever method you have of just being aware of what it is you're thinking or what it is you're doing. Okay? Um, Being aware that your mind is just like your heart. It's a machine that's just automatically going to go, and rather than being pulled by it, being aware of what it's doing. So keep your attention here. It goes on to your thoughts. Okay, yeah, okay, there could be this happening in the future. Thank you, thoughts. And then you come back to where you are and navigating. Yeah. So the kryptonite to our attention is addiction. Now, how does this work? Because most of us have very unexercised attention. Like I said, it's like a muscle. For most of us, our attention is really weak and out of shape. So our attention, rather than it being like a spotlight that we direct onto what we wish, it's now being pulled. Basically, it's a slave to what is most interesting thing that's happening in our existence at any given time. So our attention wants to go on to what's most interesting. And that's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just being able to, like, it's like a horse, or if you've got a dog on a leash, it's going to want to go to like the most interesting thing it can find. Yeah, that's how humans we grow. We are attracted to things that are what? Things that we've never seen, never done, things that are interesting. You know, that's what attracts us. That's what helps us to grow. We are not interested by things that we see and have done a million times. That's why so many people, they become bored with life, because they've seen things a million times. If you work in a butterfly sanctuary, you'll get bored of butterflies. But if you've never seen a butterfly before and it goes past you, that moment will be incredible for you. And it will probably last a long time too, that whole experience of seeing the butterfly, because all your attention is like on that moment. You're no longer in your mind. You're right here. That's why when we're children, we have a very different experience of life because everything's interesting. So rather than being in our mind, we're actually here in the present. We're here. We're like, wow, wow. And we're just soaking it all in. But then by the time the older we get, we've seen it all so many times that we're not even looking at anything around us anymore. What becomes interesting to our attention then is the creative thoughts and stories that we make up. And usually it's bad news that we create. Bad news seems to be more interesting. If you look at the news, it's never happy, is it, on the news? Like, oh, this person got rescued and blah, blah, blah. No, it's always like, oh, how's the world going to end? And who are the bad guys? Fear, right? Seems to be more powerful and interesting. So it's not only the news, but it's also the news you make in your head. So you have to be very, very careful because there's a list now. I'm going to wrap this video up. There's a list of things that we're addicted to that we're not aware of, that are addictions. The greatest addiction, I believe, of all, well, not above air and water and the basic things we're addicted to, which is okay, but the greatest addictions of all, thinking, negative thoughts, sugar, salt, alcohol, heroin, drugs, food. Let's put food above most of them, but thoughts really high up the list. Thinking is an addiction, and as with all addictions, the way to bring yourself out of it is to just stop. It's going to be really hard at the beginning, but I'm not saying that you're going to stop thinking. With thinking, it's different. With thinking, you have to become aware of your thoughts. As with all addictions, you have to be aware that you're eating too much. You have to be aware of you're eating too much sugar. And then once you start to become aware of the addictions, you can start to manage them, bring them into balance. So why is it that kryptonite for our attention is addictions? Why? Because an addiction usually is a spike. It's something that you've got the ordinary world, and then all of a sudden you've got a spike, boom, and that captures your attention. That spike could be something sweet and sugary, like soda, it's like fizzy, cold, ice cold, and super sweet. I mean, that's very different to like water, isn't it? Water is normal, natural, and then you have Coke, it's a spike, and it's interesting to us. It takes our attention. When we try it, it's like, oh my God, boom, water now will make me miserable. If I have water, I'll be depressed. I need Coke now. Coke is my new normal. And then when you're drinking like excessive amount of Cokes every day, that becomes boring, and then you're going to need something else. And that's how addiction works. It can be with weed, where you're smoking weed. Like I've been through this, smoking it from the morning until night. First of all, before the weed, you were fine. Everything was fine. Yeah, it was normal. Then you have some weed and say, oh, I feel everything's enhanced. Everything's better. And then you just smoke weed all the time, and then what happens is, not for everyone, but for me, it becomes you'll be miserable without the weed, and the weed will just make you feel normal, like yourself. So I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with smoking weed. awesome. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a nice cold, ice cold bottle of Coke. It's awesome. Just keep it in check, keep it in balance. Okay, if you start doing it excessively, those things will become normal. Just like thinking. If you start thinking excessively about your ex and how terrible your life is, then you're going to condemn yourself to like that's going to be your life. You're going to just be depressed, and normal for you will be anxiety. Normal will be depression. That will just be, oh, that's just me. I'm just depressed and anxious. No. So remember, how to break out of your addictions is you have to like wean it back, bring it back. Now, there's so many different methods, and if anybody's watching these videos and you're interested to know how to approach certain addictions, post a comment, and then I will do a video on those addictions. But if it's going to be thinking, negative thoughts, how to like turn that around, journaling, start journaling. Every negative thought you have, write it down, or like at least try and do 3 or 4 or 5 a day, and then counter those thoughts as a lawyer would. But you have to believe your counter arguments. So if it's like nobody loves me and I will never be happy, counter it and say that I don't need anyone else's love to be happy. Yeah? And then come up with a second and third and so on. Write down also, like, do these thoughts help? So nobody will love me and I'll always be alone. Write down, does that help? No. And then you can slowly retrain your mind to think more positively. Because your mind's an engine, and it's just going to think. And based on what goes into this machine, it's going to think in a certain way. So you want to feed it with positive things. Cut out negative, sad music that brings back sad thoughts. Bring new things into your mind, things that you've never done before. I never used to eat sushi, yeah? I used to think I'm never going to be a sushi person. Now I love that. I'm eating it every day. So buying new clothes, having a new look. This happened after my breakup. Really, this wearing this jade necklace, yeah? I would never wear something like this, but it was just part of me reinventing myself, reconditioning my mind, forcing myself to just be who I want to be. If I want to wear this jade necklace because it makes me feel good, I'll wear it. Yeah? So we're always changing. People who say, oh, you can never change, it's BS. You're never the same person twice. So guide yourself towards the change you want. In your mind, envision yourself as happy or as strong or whatever. If you want to be a mixed martial arts champion, envision that. This is what people do. This is what champions do. They envision themselves, wearing the clothes, the look, being beautiful, being, in shape. Envision that person. You envision yourself happy. Really, like, spend a minute doing it. That's the training. If you go to the gym, do push-ups for your body, you also need to train your mind. And to train your mind, there's so many different methods. What I just told you is one, where you sit down and you just envision yourself. Envision yourself the way you want to be. Strong, confident. Envision that. Because when you start to envision yourself as a confident person, going to the shop, envision that in your mind, play it out, going to the store, being confident. You give your mind a roadmap of how to do that. Okay, you're setting a goal for yourself. But if you're instead constantly just thinking of like, oh, how nervous you're going to be in front of people or how sad you are, then you're going to give yourself that target and that roadmap. So it's basics, really. And like I said at the beginning of this video, it's just shocking to me that we're not taught these things from an early age. We should be taught from an early age how to master our attention, how to be aware. Alright, seems like all my videos are around 15 minutes, so I think I'm just going to start accepting that and be okay with that. So start training your mind as you would your body. Feed it good things, good music, good positive movies, not stuff that's going to make you depressed or sad or anxious, yeah? Take control of yourself. Take control of your mind, yeah? Because believe it or not, it's not going to take years to change. You can do it in 3 months. 3 months is a crazy magical thing because our body replenishes its cells in 3 months. So change can occur, but it has to be consistent every day. You think of your ex and you start wandering off and like feeling sad and like, oh, you know, oh, your life is, you've got to become aware. Even if it's 2 minutes into this thinking, just, oh crap, I was thinking of this. Don't go back to the thoughts, because then you're going to be faced with a choice of, hey, do you want to go back and indulge in that, self-pity and all that? Or are you going to be a bit strong and say, no, I'm going to like change my focus now and do something positive. I'm going to journal what I was just thinking and come up with 3 counterbalances. That's my video. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to keep making more of these.